This has by far been one of the craziest 24 hours for crypto. And the main reason I'm saying that is because what just happened with Ledger is breaking everybody's minds. And I know the news came out about 20 hours ago as Ledger released a new update. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just wait, I'll tell you everything. The thing is, I decided to take my time and research every single detail to explain to you guys exactly what to do, exactly what happened, and exactly how to not lose your money. And once more, the main reason I didn't get this video out sooner is because we just landed in the most beautiful Miami, and that's about the only excuse that I've got. Anyway, you can see in front of you right now, is there a backdoor in Ledger? If you don't know, Ledger are these hardware devices that I personally use all the time to store my crypto on. And the thing is, anyway, like I said, they just released themselves an update. Exciting update, Ledger has a new product, Ledger Recover, that's launching soon, ledger.com/recover. Here's what Ledger Recover is and what it isn't, explained by some people. Long story short, it's a subscription so that if you pay, you're able to get your seed phrase back and basically not lose your money, right? It's a recovery subscription, meaning if you pay them $10 a month, they'll be sure that you'll get access to your crypto if you ever lose out on your wallet or, something happens. It's a recovery subscription. Again, this was released 23 hours ago and I tweeted about this instantly the moment that I did see it. You can see 23 hours ago, which by the way is why I recommend you guys all to also follow me over on Twitter, because sometimes I'm just a little bit quicker there than with these videos. And I said, oh no, Ledger might have gone insane. They're offering an ID-based recovery service because yes, you have to fully KYC. That provides a custodial backup of your recovery phrase. And at the time, I didn't fully understand the severity of this just quite yet. And I also thought it might actually be fake, might be a late April Fool's joke because the concept of it is just so ridiculously dumb. But a little while ago, they went over to Twitter to go for a Spaces where they basically explained everything. You can listen to that 1-hour recording for yourself if that's something that you're interested in. Ledger themselves says there's no backdoor, and they keep stating they can never take your keys, and nor can anybody else, but that's what's right now being brought into question, whether what they say can be trusted because their earlier message used to always be this. Hi, your private keys never leave your secured element or secure element chip, which has never been hacked. The secure element is a third-party certified and is the same technology as used in passports and credit cards. A firmware update cannot extract the private keys from the secure element. This was in November. And then here you can see, here's an explanation of what we all understood until recently about the proposition. But people right now are putting everything into perspective because of the most recent change where, again, what exactly have they changed now? Where if all your keys are only stored on your local device, how then could they ever provide some sort of recovery? Because that would mean that from that point forward, but then logically speaking, it should have been before that point as well, it could have had a connection to the outside. There's guys asking all these sort of questions. Is there a backdoor, yes or no? And yesterday, the majority of crypto Twitter was saying, yes, there is a backdoor. Now, as time progressed, though, the public opinion differed a little bit. Again, if you checked yesterday, everybody was saying, never use Ledger anymore, it's done, it's over. Right now, I think the majority of people are saying, well, as of this point, you are not automatically enrolled. And even though what they said before is now not completely the truth anymore, because your keys can leave your device. They are encrypted and sharded. So basically, different places get a part of an encrypted piece of your recovery key. The difficult part, in my opinion, here being, so regardless of the situation, right, they themselves, Ledger, and I can back this up, say that this is for the moms and the grandmas who are going to inevitably get into crypto. And that again also refers back to Charles Hoskinson and a couple of others whom have said that for crypto to really get mainstream, we need to find out a way where if you've lose your seed phrase, you can still get your money back. But on the contrary, I'm thinking, well, what's the point to a hardware device, instead of just opting in to put your money into an online custodian, like for example, a Coinbase? If online parties, or rather just parties, 3 different parties, whatever, still have access to part of your keys, whatever. Just they have access to your money in some way, shape, or form. Or, well, Ledger is going to have to be the facilitator of these transfers. And if they aren't, then you're going to have to put in part of your key in different places. It's just a little bit of a mess, I should say, in a strange situation. Now, obviously, Ledger had to explain a little bit more about how the technicals of it all worked, and here's part of that. It's 100% optional. Technically, as soon as you opt in for the service, you'll be asked if you are happy to opt in for Ledger Recover. So first off the bat, straight to the bat, I personally will not upgrade for right now, just for the time being, as I'm not so sure what exactly comes inside of the upgrade, even if I don't opt in. Because again, this is only with the most latest version that came out yesterday, I believe. If you are, then sign a transaction on your ledger to shard your private keys into 3 shards, meaning 3 different parts. Then it's encrypted in the device, and then a secure channel is created within the device for the third-party providers, which allows the encrypted shards, which are encrypted again, and then stored with the providers. If you ever need your money back, if you need to recover your seed, you will go through a ID verification process, which is very comprehensive, to confirm your identity. And after you are verified, the providers will send the encrypted shards to your Ledger Nano device directly. The device decrypts the shards in your device, and you're set. So again, here a couple of things are strange. First of all, why did they not communicate this update earlier? Why didn't they tell us it was coming for user feedback? Second of all, what exactly does this ID verification have to do with anything? Because the way I think about it is, in theory, if I'm the one that gets on my device and gets 3 different pieces and I insert them into different places, then do I need to then KYC at all these different places, or where exactly is the KYC done? Because from that point on forward, Ledger now officially knows that I, the Dusty BC, hold crypto then, because they have to attach my keys to my identity. Now, there's a couple things that change, again, everything here. It depends on prompts, and that's, again, a central part here. If you have to opt in and basically prompt to say, yes, I want this before anything is changed to your device, honestly, it's not that bad. The fact that Ledger is thinking about this is making me think they might be in contact with some sort of government agency that just wants to be able to seize all crypto, because that's how I'm thinking about it. You might say, oh, but it's properly sharded, dude. Oh, it's properly encrypted. Well, as far as I'm concerned, Ledger sat there and thought, you know what? Let's, on your device, think of a way to get your keys off to these different providers where you have to ID verify to get your keys back if you end up losing them. I'm not sure in what world that sounds like a good idea, with the principle and with the idea that we, the people, buy these hardware wallets for keeping our money safe, secure, and everybody's freaking hands off. Because otherwise, again, what's the point in having a hardware device if you could otherwise just, theoretically speaking, just have a multi-party, or rather multi-signature online or traditional custodian? Why would you need a ledger still? Again, I'm gonna have to sit here for a little while. I just said it's all about prompts. It's all about what exactly can you opt into, what exactly do you have to opt out of, but also what exactly does it say on your device? And from that same perspective, how exactly is it decrypted, encrypted, and how exactly is it sharded? Because first of all, this is yet another method now where hackers have the ability to potentially steal your funds. I know it's not necessarily easy, but it's another vulnerable point. Because the way I'm thinking about it now, what if they spoof your identity verification? Do they now easily get access to all your funds? And again, one of the guys was asking, no answer, how these parts are decrypted during recovery on new Ledger device. Where is the decryption key and who owns it? Because again, if you want to get access to your new funds, you have to do it on a new wallet, obviously. And one of the Ledger reports says the decryption keys are stored in your Ledger's secure element, and they don't have access to it. But again, people are being skeptical because they also said your keys can never leave your device, but now they can, albeit sharded and encrypted, but they can. He says the decryption is completely local, but I see now his question, actually see it a little bit better. He's asking, how exactly can this all work? How can it properly be decrypted on a completely new device. So do they all use the same sort of encryption? But I guess that all depends on exactly how it's sharded and how it's encrypted. Because I personally would like to think that Ledger thought of this, but it is indeed a good question of details here. Because again, you're going to get part of your keys, or at least part of the encryption, in different places. Yeah, I just quickly confirmed it yet again. It's in 3 different places, 3 encrypted shards, which from the perspective of, okay, it's diverse enough where if one party gets hacked, you're not completely screwed. But then there's still the central authority where you have to verify your ID, which is going to be Ledger. And that basically means that in theory, right, because they say it's all done local on your new device, because I'm thinking of this as you lose your old one and you want to get a new one. So what is stopping Ledger then from grabbing a new device, or a hacker from that perspective, a new device, putting their ID in there, putting their ID online through Ledger, whatever, what party provides this or asks for this, spoofing it, or potentially that gets hacked, and now getting access to all the keys. Where exactly in that process is another stop? Because once more, even though these keys are at different parties, they still have to go all the way, all 3 of them, to that one device. I personally do believe, because I got to kind of conclude some things here, that this feature, albeit something that I personally think is ridiculously dumb, is quite necessary for the future of crypto from the perspective that people are stupid and they're going to lose their money. So a lot of people will opt in, but I know the real reason that Ledger did this. If you want to know, listen carefully here. I have talked to Ledger ridiculously many times. I've got a small partnership with Ledger because I have a referral link down below, but it's never really made me much money. Probably a couple $100. The thing is, it was the conversations and the dialogue that mattered to me the most. But one of the things I learned, and this is the real reason why I waited with everything, kind of seeing if they're going to revoke it, seeing everything. The real reason they did this is not because of their 100 million customer things that they're keep on shouting about, even though it's true that the majority of people are dumb, they're going to lose their money, and this is a necessary feature. I still personally think going through a traditional custodian then is better than a hardware device with all these cringe little hoopla hoops. You're still better off with all these different other wallets that don't require your ID. But the main reason they did this is because Ledger's revenue curve is like this. You buy it once, they make money. You potentially buy it again, they make more money, and then you never buy one again and you're dead as a customer. And I've talked with them about this very long. Their model is very limited because you only need 1, if 2, if potentially 3 of these devices. And so every single time they bring out a new device, some people might want to upgrade, some people might want to change. But it's mostly a thing you just buy once. So it's all about getting more and more customers, which is why this right there, 100 million user part is so significant to them because it heavily expands their market. But also, the more and more people that sign up, it's just $10 a month. You might think it's nothing, but soon enough, it's a multi-million-dollar a month stream that does increase the valuation of their company a lot. But more importantly, just makes everybody that's ever bought a device a recurring customer per definition because they're opted into a service which costs them money. Anyway, let's continue with some interesting dialogue. So somebody asked a little bit ago if the Ledger Nano X only needs to get a firmware update in order to perform encryption and sending out its seed. Because again, Ledger always said your seed can never, or at least they always said your seed phrase never leaves your hardware device. Does that mean that technically Ledger could push firmware that tells the Ledger to send out the seed non-encrypted too? You understand the concern, right? What if somebody, theoretically speaking, I'm just thinking about this, a government agency here forced Ledger to get somebody's wallet? Would they be able to do that? Could the seed phrase leave the device? Unencrypted or encrypted for that matter, I guess it doesn't really matter because if it can leave it like this with just a firmware update. Anyway, I thought the whole deal with a secure element on your device was that it would be impossible to send and retrieve something out of it. And Ledger said, this has technically always been possible, and it is the same for every wallet. Though we have many checks and reviews on the firmware updates that we are pushing, we have and still do not allow for the recovery phrase or private keys to be sent directly out of the device. He then embeds a screenshot, but you said this, and they say, and this is where it kind of gets scary, the recovery phrase does not leave the secure element. That is true. I was talking more to the fact that firmware updates to any device can change a lot. Which, again, is not something you want to hear from somebody that's keeping control of all your money. We have a promise and I don't like that word either, I promise you, that we will not export your recovery phrase or private keys from the secure element. But again, he's wording it in the way that they could, but they promise not to do it. And there are many checks in place inside of our company to make sure that no one person or small group will be able to push a malicious firmware update. And so, in different words, it is basically a back door. It is basically possible for them to get your keys out. So once more, officially, your seed phrase, which they said can never leave your device, technically speaking, always can. And the craziest part is they were like, you know what? Because they had to sit down for a meeting and we're like, should we do this? Should we get this update out? And the guys were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make some money. How could the company ever think this was a good idea? Well, again, because of reasons I just stated, some of these examples are a little bit too direct, but the point is being quite clear. You can update firmware secretly and pull all seed phrases. If so, then there is a backdoor. And to that I always say, well, you partially have to trust Ledger anyway because, even in your Ledger Live, it can always change things, and from that perspective, you can always opt in on your device to yes to something that they specifically programmed to be send all your money out. So there's always a trust of Ledger that is necessary, and I still trust them from that perspective. The only thing I can't trust them with is their now it becomes difficult, their word, because they said it never leaves your device, but it does. So maybe I can't trust them with the fact that they will never just update my device to make me prompt into me sending all my money out. Because again, that's essentially something that is always possible. You're always using a third party that always is able to kind of spoof you into you messing up. But in this way here, I'm more afraid of you needing to ID and the government in that sense. I always think about that. I'm not a criminal, don't get me wrong, but always able to get your money if they wanted to. What I've said 1,000 times before in the past is, with crypto, one of the most beautiful things ever is that regardless of what anybody ever tries to do, if you keep your money safely on a hardware wallet or a paper wallet, they're never able to take your money from you. But through this method here, that might change, and vice versa. They now have another interesting way to potentially connect your recovery keys to your ID, meaning they can, in theory, understand exactly, because what is stopping them from implementing that on their own device, a government agency? If Ledger is the one that's controlling whether or not you get these 3 parts back with thorough ID investigation, what is stopping the government from saying, okay, that person whom you're going to send your recovery keys back to, we want that one, because then your recovery keys have left your device. And again, add to that injury as well the fact that right now, they literally want you to take out your seed phrase into a couple of different places, even though you don't have to do it manually. Even though the golden rule was always never share your seed phrase with anyone. That was the golden rule, but now you have to share parts of it with 3 different parties. So let's now go into damage prevention. What should you do? First of all, like I said, don't update. Don't update your Ledger hardware to version 2.2.1. Don't enable the new recover feature unless you want your crypto to be easily confiscated by government agencies. Seriously, WTF Ledger, why even bother with a hardware wallet if you're going to do this? I agree. I, however, personally think I'm not throwing my Ledger devices away. I'm just waiting for them to either pull this or give more explainers, because that's right now what we're lacking. Bankless as well posted that there's just a lot of questions right now about all these different moving parts. Again, like I said, the major incentive for Ledger is money. They've raised a lot of money. They probably have some management that might want to push broader customers through, and they know that a hardware wallet isn't for everybody. Like, for example, pick my mom here. If I didn't spoon feed her every single detail, she probably would have never used it because it's just too much of a hassle, too difficult, too annoying. And you can kind of extrapolate this to many people in the ecosystem. They just don't bother. If there's an easy way to get your money back if you mess up, it's a lot more appealing. But from our crypto savvy people, then what's the point? Over the next couple of hours, days, they're probably going to have to justify exactly why they made this change and explain deeper how exactly every single part of it will affect you and whether or not you can opt out of everything. And I personally think the trust from Ledger is right now completely destroyed. People do not trust Ledger anymore, and this might never be able to be rebought. So I will consider never using a Ledger again. The problem is, right now, it's my main thing. And even yesterday, not yesterday. I think about 3 days ago, I set up even another new wallet. I've got, I think, 5 unused ledgers still at home as well. And I just don't want to take any action too quickly. But on the other side, I'm thinking, well, this has been the scariest thing they could have posted if they're down this bad, it could get way worse already. You know what I mean? Like, if they already made this decision, which was extremely awful, it might just get worse from here. So once more, if it stays an opt-in, it honestly is not that bad, because it's only the moment that you opt in that this feature is then enabled for you, and potentially also only from that point forward it's enabled for your device, which means you're not in a safety concern straight away. The reason it's still bad is because they never told you that the keys could potentially leave your device with an update, and the fact that this wasn't properly communicated, leaving us to wonder what they're going to do in the future. Again, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and even my video here is quite inaccurate because there's just so many moving parts, there's so many different opinions, and there's so many parts which are not fully known. For example, the word backdoor here is too broad. It is always possible, in theory, to get your seed phrase out. That is literally impossible for it to never be possible. It's always just very unlikely and nearly impossible. The reason I'm saying that is because Ledger, in theory, could always make you opt in with one of their keys, and so can any single device you'll ever use to just send everything out. At least that's as far as I can think about it, right? The device has security features, but Ledger knows best, and Ledger, in theory, could always, as a company, still mess you up. So don't think about it like that. Here's 868 Systems, though, who says, because of the encryption that they've got, officially, your actual key never does leave the device. I like to disagree on that, because even though it's encrypted, it's still the key. If I take a key and wrap it in a piece of paper, the key is still inside. And there comes my point. Everybody thinks they know, but a lot of people don't. Even I don't fully know. Best thing to do, wait it up. Don't update anything. Don't do anything too irrational. In theory, you could take your money out and put it onto some other place, but then what? We just need to see what the industry standard is going to revolt or change into over the next couple of hours or days and move from there on outward or forward, because it's going to ripple through. Trezor and all these other major hard wallets are going to get updates out, are going to give better feedback to customers, but Ledger as well, they will explain this better soon enough. So to that notion, I'd say stay patient, stay on the lookout, and I'll update you whenever something crazier comes out. And again, I just keep adding things because I keep thinking about how things can be misinterpreted. I'm not saying Ledger keeps your ID. It's probably a verified third party they use for that to verify the ID and to, store everything. They also say themselves they only store whatever is necessary. I'm also not saying they have full authority to give your encrypted parts to a government agency. I'm just saying here that what we all thought we knew right now is being put into question, so the concerns are opening up for them having the ability to take your money out now from what they control with an ID gateway. But again, that depends on how exactly the third parties are connected to the ID that are, again, connected to the actual keys, which are connected to your person. All I can say is we'll have to see, and that's about it. See ya. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter for quicker updates, and yeah.